NBA season is almost here. Let's go coast to coast to see who's having some fun before training camp starts. Big weekend for ESPN and WWE WrestlePalooza in Indianapolis. No bigger wrestling fan than our guy Tyrese Halliburton. He posted this photo, sleeping in his John Cena shirt the other night before the action started. The headline match, obviously, Brock Lesnar versus Cena. Unfortunately for Tyrese, it did not go his way, Ramona. There were a lot of emotions in the crowd at Gainbridge Fieldhouse.
Listen, we know that he is a huge wrestling fan because that was the only thing he said he was checking during the finals on social media. And when you look at how he acts, the choke gesture at Madison Square Garden, the way that he acts on the court, now I see him through that wrestling lens, and I get it. I get who he is. He's a WWE guy. He's a troll there.
Yeah. Well, Brock Lesnar saw John Cena. He saw him. He knew where he was. Shams, on Friday, you reported that Tyler Herro is getting foot surgery right before training camp starts. What can you tell us about his injury and the timetable for return?
George, Tyler Herro will be out at least through mid-November, late November. So that's about the first 12 to 14 games of the season. And Tyler Herro suffered this injury in an offseason workout, and he thought he'd be able to avoid surgery, but he ends up needing it last week, and now he's going to be out. This is a significant loss for a Miami team that needed his offense every which way last season.
Yeah, they struggled to score for sure. Kevin Durant doesn't struggle to score. He isn't always in the gym, though. Check out this fish he caught with former teammate Steven Adams. No contract extension thus far, though, in Houston. Mark doesn't look too concerned.
That's easy fishing, man. That's deep sea fishing. You just throw some bait out there. I did some real fishing a week ago in the bayou. Shout out to Roadside's Fishing, man, where we got some redfish, and then we grilled them afterwards.
You heard that, KD? He's calling out your fishing skills.
Yeah, come fish with me, man. Do some real fish.
All right, Celtics Jaylen Brown was on a Twitch stream this weekend. Here was the challenge, a hypothetical $100,000 on the line. Call one person in your phone, but they have to answer. So how did it go?
Call Peyton real quick, see if he answers. Y'all think Peyton gonna answer? He ain't answering game. Crazy. Let me see D-White. Let me call D-White. Down 0 for 2, gang. I just worked out with Nimi. Nimi better pick up. Damn. From Nimi, 0 for 3. I'll smash Jordan in the back of the head. Shall we 0 for 4, gang? This is my last one. This is my last line. Here, he didn't block me. 0 for 5. What is going on? I think I got a donut. I got a goose egg from the gang. We want to ship, and I got a goose egg. Maybe I got to do better. 0 for 5. 0 for 5 is crazy. Peyton just texted me. Peyton Pritchard just texted me, said, whose number is this? Called 5 teammates, and nobody picked up, but I forgot I changed my number.
Well, there you go. That makes more sense. Change his number. Who this? Bobby, who's the most famous person in your phone? Wow. And do you think they'll answer if you cold call them right now?
I don't think it'd answer. I would answer his phone, and I would say it's former part owner of the Brooklyn Nets, Jay-Z. Okay.
That number don't work no more.
For this, we had the opportunity of sitting with him in London a long time ago, and we were able to pick his brain on how he broke into the music. And yes, his phone number is in my.
No,
hold on. I need to
he might change his number after this.
I need to hand this back to you. You dropped that name real quick. So.
Wow.
Next up, Zion Williamson. The Pelicans will be holding their media day availability tomorrow, where we'll hear from Zion as he kicks off his 7th year in the NBA. Freshly minted Executive Vice President of Basketball Operations Joe Dumars spoke on his conversations with Williams this offseason.
The main thing that I've talked to Zion about is just responsibility and accountability. I said, what I've said to him is, with greatness comes responsibility. You don't get to be great and not responsible. Zion has been great. I've not had any issues with him. He's been working extremely hard. I see him probably for the last month in and out of the practice facility, really pushing himself hard. So I have been happy with him this summer. But still, at the end of the day, man, you got to be responsible and accountable for everything you do.
All right, welcome in here to the studio. George Sedano in for Malika Andrews today, joined by the Hall of Famer Mark Spears, Ramona Shelburne, our insider, Shams Charania, and our NBA front office insider, Bobby Marks. So welcome to everybody. Thank you for all hanging out today. All right, Mark, let's start with you. With greatness comes tons of responsibility. How do you feel about Zion year 7? Will we see greatness?
Well, the day before I went fishing in New Orleans, I had dinner with Willie Green, and he talked in high esteem about Zion. They were actually out here, Loyola Marymount University, the whole team working out, playing 5-on-5. He said Zion looked great. great shape, and he's showing a lot of more leadership. I mean, this is a guy that's only played over 30 games twice in his career, missed the whole season, only played 30 games last season. But when Zion plays, they win. And Willie Green also said when Zion plays, he's one of the best players in the league. I don't deny that either, but it's always if Zion plays. And to me, like, if the Pelicans want to be special in their roster, if you look at their roster, it's a lot deeper and better than I think a lot of people think. But Zion, a healthy Zion, has to take them there.
Responsibility and accountability, those are the two words that Joe Dumars said, and that's what he has brought. This is the first executive change, new head of basketball operations that Zion Williamson has had since he's been in the NBA, and that is something that's very important. Zion Williamson was suspended last year for being late to a team playing, but tardiness, that is an issue that Joe Dumars has been very vocal with Zion Williamson. Like, I'm going to come in, I'm going to hold you accountable, I'm going to hold you responsible each and every day, and that comes with habits, that comes with being on time. And I do think Zion Williamson, when he's on the court, he is as good as any player. He has the impact of just about any player toward winning. It's just how can you get him on the court and getting him to play on a sustained level. But how does Pelicans season start? I'm very curious to see it. A lot of people have their eyes on it.
Yeah, I saw Joe and Zion together at Summer League, and they were chatting a lot watching that Pelicans team. And speaking of that Summer League team, so Joe Dumars got a lot of grief for his draft, obviously, of Derek Queen. He was asked about that particular draft selection, and he said that the Pelicans don't have a playoff or bust mentality, Bobby. Should they?
Well, listen, when you trade a potential lottery pick, which was sent to Atlanta as far as to go up and get Derek Queen at the 13th pick, there are expectations for you as to at least probably compete for one of these play-in spots. And when you look at next year's draft, which you're looking at Darren Peterson or A.J. Debinsa, one of those two players could potentially be in an Atlanta uniform. I will say this, having traded for an unprotected pick, which was a Clipper pick that we thought was going to be great in New Jersey, that pick wound up turning out to be the 24th pick in the draft. So what looks good in July is not always what's going to happen, but when there's a lot of pressure in New Orleans as far as not seeing a top 5 pick conveyed to Atlanta with that Derek Queen trade.
Well, I think it's just health for the whole team. It's not just Zion. It's Trey Murphy. I mean, he's become one of the best 3-and-D guys in the games, and these are great players that they all missed significant time last year due to injuries. And so when you don't have Zion and then you don't have 5 other guys, then I don't even know what the Pelicans have. But I actually think the expectations are so low that there's not really any pressure on them anymore. Like, Mark, how many times have we done a segment or a topic on this show? Is this the year for Zion? Like, well,
we're doing it. It's year 7.
Right. Literally every year. And so I think at that point, people kind of take their expectations off.
Yeah, fair enough. Nikola Jokic received the most votes to win his 4th MVP award. Following him is the reigning MVP, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who received 2 less votes than Joker. And to no one's surprise, it's SGA's OKC Thunder team who got 18 of the 20 votes to win the 26th NBA title. The only team to receive votes outside of the Thunder were the Denver Nuggets.
Wow.
And this was an interesting one here. League insiders voted Steph Curry as the best American player right now. Anthony Edwards received 3 less votes than Steph.
No LeBron? What are we doing here?
One player who did not receive any votes, Ramona, for best American player was LeBron James.
Okay.
However, the scouts, coaches, and execs were asked where he would be in a year, with the majority saying he would still be on the Lakers or retired from the league entirely. But before we even get to what the future has in store for LeBron, let's take a look at the roster he'll have for year 23. Bobby, take it away.
Well, one thing we do know that LeBron will be on the Lakers roster at the start of this season, of course. And I do think what they've done this offseason, when you're looking at the addition of DeAndre Ayton and certainly Marcus Smart and Jake LaRavia, they're in the conversation when we're talking about some of these top teams in the Western Conference. But here are some of the questions we're going into the season. Year 23 of LeBron. That is remarkable. The last time we saw him was that Game 5, limping off the court with that knee injury against Minnesota here. We talked about the newcomers, integrating Marcus Smart, DeAndre Ayton, and Jake LaRavia. The loss of Dorian Finney-Smith. Is there enough perimeter defense? And here's the big thing. Balancing the 2 timelines. Oof. You are a win-now team, but then you also have an eye out in 2026 and 27 when you have potential of $100 million of cap flexibility with Luka on that roster to build around him now. That's going to be the most challenging thing this year is the two-timeline approach, win now versus the future.
That's always tough. I feel like every time somebody's trying to go through these two timelines, it's a very delicate dance, to your point. Now, Shams, let me ask you this. LeBron in the last year of a contract at the moment, what determines his future?
I think just seeing how this year plays out, I mean, it's clear that he's not sure whether, does he have 1 year left? Does he have another season after that? So 2026, 2027. I did speak to his agent, Rich Paul, at Clutch Sports today, and he told me it's important not to worry about the future when it comes to LeBron James. Just appreciate the present and also maximizing his present. And that, obviously, that onus potentially falling on the Lakers and what team they put around him. But it's obvious. How does he feel about the Lakers going into the season as the year continues on? Can they be a contender moving forward? And I think the other thing that also sits here as well is Bryce James is going to start his freshman year at college. How does he look? How does he look as a prospect? How does he play into the 2026 NBA draft? So these are all things I think LeBron James is going to be open-minded about.
Ramon, let me ask you this, because the poll was basically LeBron's a Laker or LeBron retires. What did you make of that particular distinction?
Well, it's just because it's hard for him to go elsewhere. I mean, Bobby and I call you 7 times a week about how, if they did this, it's just hard for anyone to trade for a guy making $52 million. It's a lot of money. And even he would have to, ask for that, he would have to approve that. And I think that we're in a position now where if he was going to do that, he's had opportunities, whether it be a couple years ago with the Warriors when they came calling, they expressed interest again this summer. The Cavs are on that list because we all know the heartstrings are there in Cleveland. But if they were going to do anything, it would probably have to be before the regular season even started because they're in the second apron. And so I think it's just hard to envision how he would go someplace else unless he asked for that. And Shams, to your point, it's based on how the Lakers do. If they're winning, if they're rolling, I think he blends in. If they struggle out of the gates or if they hit a rough spot, if somebody has an injury, then I think we have a lot of content to talk about in LA.
You think?
Well, I think the big question is where we are in January with this Lakers team. In a really deep Western Conference, that what happens if you are a 500 team and you're competing just to get into the play-in? Does that change as far as LeBron's mentality of competing for a championship? Because that, all signs would signal that you probably are not competing for a championship. And Ramona hit on a point there is, listen, once we get into the regular season, those teams that he potentially maybe had an eye on this offseason, whether it be Cleveland or Dallas, those teams don't come in play because of where they are financially.
The one thing that surprised me on this poll was that league insiders voted Nikola Jokic as the best player. And this wasn't the part. It was that he basically got every vote but one. Luka got one vote in that poll. So, look, I mean, the Joker is inevitable. He's like Thanos to me, okay? But were you surprised at how lopsided this was?
Well, I was surprised because then there's another question on there as far as who the MVP is, and Shea got 5 votes, and I think Jokic got 7.
Right.
So I'm thinking, like, well, wait a minute, how come Shea didn't make it onto this year? I am surprised with that. Certainly the disparity, not that Jokic is number 1, but that nobody else outside of
Giannis would like it.
outside of Luka was even on there.
Look, I covered that series with Denver and the Oklahoma City Thunder, and it was a clash of the 2 MVP favorites, right? And Nikola Jokic asserted himself in that series to the point where when you saw them side by side, you saw how important Jokic was to his team, how much he was able to do, how he controlled the game, even on both sides of the ball. It's hard to argue that he's not the best player, and I think even the Thunder would tell you that was the toughest series that they had to get through. If not for Aaron Gordon having an injury in that last game, I don't know what would have happened there. But I am surprised. Giannis should get some votes in that vote. Shea should get some votes, but Jokic is inevitable, as you said. He is that good.
Thanos. Shams, what do you think?
I mean, I think Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, how do you not give him more love? The year that he just had, MVP, Western Conference Finals MVP, NBA Finals MVP. His own shoe, NBA 2K. I mean, there's a lot of things you can put in there to say why he might be the best player right now in the world. The disparity to me is what catches me off guard.
Now, let me ask you this. I'm with you guys. Like, I can make a case for a lot of those guys that you put in there. I just think that the Joker is at the peak of his powers right now, and I think guys around the league, coaches, players, who have to deal with him on a day in and day out basis, it's not that they're throwing shade at these other guys. They just know how tough this dude is to beat in a given moment. I mean, think about it. In that series, I was there for 2 of those games, and it could have gone either way in that series. And then Aaron Gordon gets hurt, and we know what happened in Game 7. But they were on the brink of upsetting the OKC Thunder.
Well, and it's amazing because it shows you the thin margin where a Thunder team that was faced with a Game 7 at home. Imagine if you lose that game. We're probably not talking about them right now.
Off-season.
It changes the landscape here, but Oklahoma City wins, and now we're talking about Shea and what the next step is with that group.
But I actually think that will help the Thunder now because they've gone through the 16 and they've won. So now that was the year to get them. If you couldn't get them last year, now I think they're going to be more dominant moving forward. Now, Shams, we have something here on the All-Star format. What do you got?
So USA versus World will be happening. It's 3 teams. It's a round-robin tournament, 2 U.S. teams, 1 World team. And essentially how this is going to go, I'm told, here are the details. 4 total games, 12 minutes per game, so a total of 48 minutes of action. So it's essentially 1 full game, NBA game regulation. So these 3 teams will face off against each other in 4 total games, 48 total games here in the 2026 All-Star Game, from my understanding.
All right, hopefully we get them to play hard, okay? That's all I want. Just go out there and look, we know the international team is going to play hard. So that means the USA team is going to have to buckle in and get ready. All right, so that's the expected All-Star format. Some memorable years with was the star of the Trailblazer rally yesterday. Check out the turnout at Pioneer Courthouse Square. Here's what Dame had to say about coming home.
Being back in this city, has brought a different type of joy back to my life, in my spirit. So I'm happy to be back. Having this type of team, young, depth, future stars of the league, being able to contribute to their success and be a part of that, I think it's going to open the door to bring back a lot of special moments to Rip City.
We got to do a Dame-themed top of the top now. His top plays as a Blazer. First up, top logo Lillard. There's a number of these in 2020 before the world shut down. Pulled up on the Rockets from way deep. Then about 8 months later, in the bubble, he pulls up from even deeper.
He just slows you down and kind of brings you in and just boom, from deep.
I don't think people realize how far that is.
Yeah, and then in 2023, flat-footed right in front of his new teammate, Drew Holiday.
Steph Curry, this guy, Clay. Well, Clay don't shoot it that far, right? Trey.
Top dribble drives for Dame. This in 2012, across the street here against the Lakers.
When he had hops. I remember those young legs. I don't think he has those legs anymore, fortunately.
All right, then in 2015, the drive, an insane reverse layup here against the T-Wolves.
No foul?
No foul, apparently.
Is that Ricky Rubio? Yeah.
Might be, yeah. And then 2020 again, drives and dunks on 2 Lakers here.
Hey, is that Danny? Take the ball out, Danny.
Packed it in. AD was trailing there too. And last one, top Dame time, his first ever NBA game winner. Came as a rookie in 2012 against the Hornets.
We've seen a lot of those.
Oh, no doubt.
Brian Anderson.
Fast forward 2014 playoffs, he sends the Rockets home at the buzzer. And of course, 2019 against OKC, and Paul George said it was a bad shot.
Where's Houston at? Where's Houston? Houston's about to
Change
Thunder.
dynamic for a lot of teams here.
Yep, he broke the Thunder up there. So, all right, we've got breaking news here on the show. Our NBA insider, Shams Charania, what do you got?
George, this just in. Fred VanVleet, the Rockets' starting guard, their leader, he has suffered a torn ACL. This is a devastating blow, potentially season-ending injury for Fred VanVleet. He is out with a torn ACL. I'm told he suffered the injury clearly very recently here. I know he's been back working out at different points, was just named the president of the NBPA this offseason as well. But he has suffered a torn ACL for a team in Houston that expected to be one of the championship contenders this upcoming season. They just acquired Kevin Durant. They have Amen Thompson, Alperen Sengun. This is a pretty deep, loaded team. But now they will be without their starting point guard, their veteran leader, potentially for the entire 2025-2026 NBA season.
Wow, that is devastating news. Bobby, the Rockets were the second favorite out of the West, according to ESPN Bet. What do you make of this?
It's devastating because one of the things to watch for Houston going into training camp was the thin point guard position here. And the player who I had an X factor was Reed Shepherd, last year's lottery pick, as far as him coming off the bench. Now you're looking at it between Shepherd and Aaron Holiday, who they re-signed in the offseason. That's your backcourt there. There's a lot of pressure on this Rocket team that went all in this summer, going out and trading for Kevin Durant.
What do you think this means for KD now in his role there?
Point forward. You got to be creative right now. Yeah. I'm excited about Reed Shepherd. He didn't expect this opportunity. A lot of people are very, very high on him. Hey, he's going to have to get an opportunity right now. But there's still time. And Shams would know this better than me, that they could try to work some magic to bring another point guard in.
Yeah, I mean, Reed Shepherd did ball out in the G League, balled out at Summer League.
It's Reed Shepherd time. Fred VanVleet has been through so much in his career just to make it to this point. Undrafted. Yeah. He set all these records. He signed multiple of these massive deals. Yeah. Just signed a 2-year, $50 million deal. But
he got paid.
Fred VanVleet out the
line. Both had made some comments that upset their national fans during FIBA Eurobasket. Houston plays Milwaukee on November 9th. Tim, what are you expecting?
Well, I think they've buried the hatchet, but you know what? Giannis, mild-mannered, generally a pleasant, even joyful guy.
Yeah.
Underrated beefer. I mean, this guy, you got this. You've got the deal with Papa Halliburton, the game ball
Yeah, that's right.
Versus the ladder in Philly back in the day with Harden. Giannis got some beef.
Well, yesterday, Giannis's dad jokes too. It's all good with him, right? Let's go to the Miami. ESPN Shams Charania reported this morning that Tyler Herro getting surgery, unfortunately, on his left foot. He will be sidelined to start the season. He was hurt in an off-season workout. The Heat had a bottom 10 offense last season, Ramona. So how concerning is this?
It's slightly concerning because I think this has been going on all summer. He didn't really train with his longtime trainer, Drew Hanlon, all summer. This has been bothering him, and I think hope was that he could avoid surgery, but got to get it done, got to get him back on the court. So this opens up room for Norm Powell. Good thing they got him, and maybe even Terry Rozier, who was kind of buried on the bench chart, the depth chart there.
Out to start the season, though, for Tyler Herro. All right, to the stalemate between restricted free agent Jonathan Kaminga and the Warriors. It continues. His agent, Aaron Turner, he told the Hoop Collective podcast that they're prepared to take the $8 million one-year qualifying offer. So the Warriors, remember, they'd reportedly offered a 3-year, $75 million deal, but the team is sticking with that team option in the final year, and that has been a sticking point. So whether it's a team or a player option, that would guarantee Kaminga $48 million in the first 2 seasons. Since we're talking money, we need to bring in Mr. Money Moves, Bobby Marks, our front office insider. Bobby, why would Kaminga take the qualifying offer instead of that guaranteed, $40 million more?
Yeah, first, give credit to Brian Windhorst. I don't think I've seen an agent come on a podcast and negotiate for his client like he did, Aaron Turner did with Jonathan Kaminga here. I think from his perspective, he's looking at it first. The $8 million qualifying offer gets him to unrestricted free agency next year. It also gives him the right to veto any trade coming forth. It was also mentioned, and Anthony Slater has mentioned this, that Kaminga has taken out a insurance policy in case he does get injured. So there is the mitigating cost as far as future salary that could be coming in. But I do think, Malik, I think there's a compromise here when you're looking at it. And I know we've talked about the 2-year, the team option here. I think you could still do the team option. And I think what you can do if you're Golden State, let Kaminga have the right to veto any trade. But here's a little wrinkle. If he was traded and Golden State exercised that team option, guess what happens? He no longer has the right to approve any trade any further. So I think there is a common ground, at least from the Warriors' perspective, to get a deal done, because I think this is kind of the last resort both sides want to go through, is have him play out on that 1-year deal.
Bobby, when I read that the Warriors had offered him the 3-year deal, the 3 years with the team option on the on the 3rd year, I felt like they were the ones who blinked. Like, that to me was a significant development in these negotiations. That was a concession, because all summer long it had been a 1-and-1 team option on the 2nd year. Now it gave him another guaranteed year. So that's, instead of being $24 million 2 years, but only 12 of that's guaranteed, now this is an extra $40 million guaranteed. That's a lot of money, and I felt like the Warriors already blinked by offering him that. And I know we're hung up on this team option versus player option, but Bobby, you tell me if I'm wrong, but that felt like in the stare down that Kaminga has already got them to move.
Well, I don't think they're going to move any further. I think certainly when you talk to people close to the organization, I think we're kind of here we are, right? It's either going to be the qualifying offer or it's going to be one of those offers that have already been on the table here. Listen, we've got 2 weeks until October 1st. That's the deadline when this qualifying offer goes off the table unless Golden State wants to extend it. Remember also, there's also that offer for 3 years. I think it was $54 million. That was straight, no options at all there. So there are different scenarios for Kaminga, but as we heard on the podcast, they're going to dig their heels in the ground here, and they're going to look at what's best for Jonathan Kaminga. And if it's what's best is 1 year and taking $16 million less, they're going to go out and do that.
And I think where people are maybe being confused is their perspective of what's best for Jonathan Kaminga is not necessarily maximizing the value of the contract. They're looking, Jonathan Kaminga thinks he is a blossoming star.
Right.
Clearly, the Golden State Warriors do not agree with that. Steve Kerr does not agree with that. Jonathan Kaminga wants to be in a situation where he can thrive. And he says, hey, if I'm leaving money on the table now, he's betting if he gets in a situation where he'll have the ball more, where he can thrive, that the money will come. You can agree or disagree, but his perspective isn't, let me get paid as much as possible right now.
Right, and you heard that up close on the Collective podcast. Again, Brian Windhorst, you can listen to that interview. It is up now wherever you get your podcast. Tim, have you checked your mail?
I have not.
Well, you know, October 1st is still a couple of days away, but you might have missed an invitation from Anna Wintour to Fashion Week. And in case you read Dave McMenamin's in-depth look at this summer of Luka Doncic and how it could be transformational for the Los Angeles Lakers franchise. And how lucky for us, Dave is joining us right now. I think we might need to transform the photo we have here of Luka Doncic. It's no longer reflective of how he's showing up, not at FIBA and not now. But Dave, the Lakers, they showed their commitment back. Luka's been showing it all summer. What exactly did that look like, both in person and from afar?
Well, in person, the Lakers had a group travel to Poland to see him before the start of Eurobasket, and that was a 6,000-mile trip. Rob Pelinka got in the plane, Jeannie Buss got in the plane, the Rambi got in the plane.
Rambi.
They wanted to make it clear to Luka, if something's important to you, it's also important to us. This was really a chance to establish the first footing together after the whirlwind of the midseason trade.
Yeah.
And that extended as the Lakers went back to the States. There was a group chat before and after every game between Laura Beth Seeger, Luka's manager, Javi Barrio, his physiotherapist, and then Rob Pelinka and Dr. Leroy Sims, who's the head of medicine for the Lakers. And they just wanted to make sure that, hey, is your body right?
Yeah.
Is there any tweaks that we saw in the game? Did we do anything? And then beyond that, they were so forthcoming and generous with their resources. You know, Slovenia is a country of 2 million people. They had their equipment manager in touch with the Slovenian national team. They're like, if you need any gear, we can send stuff, airmail to you. And really, it was about, you are going to be the face of our franchise, and we want you to be as comfortable as possible in reaching that kind of stature. And if that includes playing for your national team, we're okay with it. We endorse it. We want to see it because we want to see you in your full form. And take control of your career. If you do it, it's going to get us where we want to go to.
And there's really interesting details in this piece about Luka's intermittent fasting, about the Lakers, what their commitment is here to Luka Doncic. But you two cover the Lakers very closely. You have covered Luka more closely than anyone really in his career. And so I want to really distill down what is important to know here, because fans are seeing the pictures and there's a lot of excitement. But Luka's been the face of a franchise before, right? What is different right now, Tim, from your reporting?
I think the slap in the face of the trade and the way it happened, the aftermath, that has been a big-time wake-up call for Luka. I think it has forced him to grow up. And look, there's been flashes of a commitment to conditioning for Luka in the past. This feels like something that is the turning of a corner. You know, can he maintain it through the course of the season? We'll see, but you're seeing maturation, Luka, the way he interacted and led a Slovenia team. You know, Dave,
had you ever seen that before?
Not to that degree, and he didn't have to be the leader in Dallas. You know, Kyrie Irving was. You know, Jalen Brunson was the vocal guy. On that Slovenian national team, and you know, in Eurobasket, they put the camera in the huddle, so you really saw it. But I think that was evidence of maturation. The way that he has worked with the front office of the Lakers in a partnership, recruited. These are things, this is different than it was in Dallas. It's certainly the relationship with the Mavericks front office completely broke down, but even in the good times, this is a different approach by Luka. The media approach has been different. Now, when you're talking about maturation, what's the other thing you talk about? Ranting at the referees. You know what, though? A guy who coached him in Dallas was telling me he thinks that's also tied to conditioning.
I see that.
When there's fatigue, there's frustration, and when Luka's frustrated, the refs are going to hear about it. So maybe a better conditioned Luka. I'm not saying can totally cut that out, but cut that down.
So, Tim, I got a question. I mean, you literally wrote the book on Luka Doncic. How does this level of care and commitment and the way the Lakers front office and ownership are treating him compared to the way that Mark Cuban did? Because I felt like Mark Cuban had that sort of embrace of players, and we, the Lakers take care of superstars almost like any other franchise. Is this back to the beginning?
It's back to the beginning, but it's a different Luka. And again, early in Luka's career, his thing was basically like, hey, I hoop. It's not my job to be the general manager. It's not my job to recruit players. He didn't involve himself in personnel discussions at all until they botched the Brunson situation. He's looking around saying, whoa, we've got no chance to contend here. So similar approach that Cuban had, obviously post-Cuban, not so much.
Yeah.
Completely different Luka, though.
And maybe another growth area that we saw in Eurobasket. Yeah. We know he's going to score, right? And he scored historic
this
numbers.
Was a great detail.
35 points per game, almost the most since a guy in 1989 in Eurobasket. He defended. And the Lakers assistant coach Greg St. Jean was on the Slovenian staff. And one of the things he did was put together a video edit of all the plays that he saw. Luka committing to defense, talking on defense, being in the right and proper spacing. And he showed it to the Slovenian national coach. He said, hey, I want to show you who our best defender is. And he's expecting to see not Luka Doncic.
Right.
And after watching the video evidence, he's like, I see it. And if he can carry that over to the Lakers, I mean, obviously the Lakers were one of the better defending teams in the second half of the season. If they can be that from the start of the season, we'll see where they can go.
And Luka Doncic is going to be a huge piece of everything that the Lakers do. The other sort of piece in all of this that we haven't mentioned yet, of course, is LeBron James. And he sat down with Speedy Morman on Complex. Just take a listen to what he had to say when the topic of his retirement came up.
Listen, guys, every time I pick up something new does not mean retirement. It's like, oh, with chopsticks. Oh, he's retiring. Oh, I've seen you wear a T-shirt that's too big. Oh, retirement. Oh, you picked up golf, retirement. It's like, it's just something I want to do. It's just a little hobby. But retirement is coming. It is coming. It's just not here just yet.
Does just yet mean like today or tomorrow? What's your takeaway here?
Well, first of all, shout out to my Q's brother, Speedy Morman. Great interview. Very compelling, LeBron, that you got in that sit down. But honestly, I've spoken to countless people close to LeBron over this summer after kind of the murkiness of the statement from Rich Paul that was given to Shams Charania after LeBron picked up his option for year 23. And most of them are telling me, I think we're pretty close to the end, but I don't know if LeBron knows where he's at. Does he know that this is from day one going to be the last year? Will he start to feel it? Will he start to feel otherwise and say, you know what, this is a really good Lakers team, and maybe we can do something special this year and extend it? You know, one person close to him told me at one point, if the Lakers win, is he going to walk away from the chance to defend it and get 6 rings versus 5? I mean, obviously, there are many permutations out there, and we have to see how it plays out.
Yeah, I think that's a really human approach to all of this, right? And we've seen players, Kobe Bryant, they didn't necessarily declare it at the beginning of the season. You feel it out a little bit before that decision is made. I'm sure we will be talking a lot more as we approach the season on these Los Angeles